Welcome to this little seminar about how to use FastPawz, right? First of all, you guys know me. I'm Peter. Here's my email address in case you guys ever need some help. And I'm also on Facebook for quick questions, etc. if you ever need anything. Huh? So how does this work? So what's FastPawz? So it's basically the Agility Event Management software to assist you in the smooth preparation and running of agility events. It's basically the intellectual property was given over to the Agility Committee, right? So it's I'm writing it, I'm maintaining it at the moment, but if they ever decide to do something else with it, it's up to the Agility Committee. And I, of course, try to actively maintain it to reflect the current New Zealand agility rules and regulations. So before I start anything, I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview how it fits into the general, IT structure of everything. So basically, at the moment, we have the agility website and the database sitting behind it, which has been written by Peter de Wit. So all hail Peter, thank you very much. And so the way FastPawz basically works with it is that you have to, prepare your show on the Agility website by, setting up the individual classes, the show date, and everything like this. And once you've done that, and people have entered their dogs into the show, at some stage you're going to cut off the entries, right? And then you download the raw event data. And I'm going to show in a moment how that is done. And this raw event data is fed into FastPawz. Inside FastPawz, you can do other things. You can, change running orders, print scribe sheets, and whatever you need to change in there. And when you run your show, you enter your dogs, how they run, times, falls, and what have you not. You print all your certificates and etc. And then at the end of the day, when the whole show is done, you can upload the final results back to the Agility website. And from there, it is fed into the main database. Important features to note, what's in there. So, of course, it has the standard things in there for, handling how to enter runs and everything and print certificates, etc. So in here, it's just a couple more things which you should be should be aware of what it can actually do. So it does a lot of printing. So it can print your scribe sheets, your running orders. It can print price labels and envelopes, which is quite actually time-consuming task if you do it manually. And it can give you things like ribbon price summary. So you basically know how many ribbons to order and how much prize money to get out of the bank, that kind of thing. You can do running orders in there. So you can fully randomize things. And it also has a nice algorithm in there to space handlers apart. So, the dog handlers want to have certain times between running different dogs. And it's a pretty tricky thing actually to solve. But yeah, I think I've done it quite nicely in here. Like I can show you later on. You can prepare show catalogs. Basically, it can create all the raw data. So what all the dogs in the show, all the classes who with the running order. So all these very technical details which you can then copy and paste into Microsoft Word or similar application, and just use that to create your title page and a little bit of description of your show, and then print it and publish it. We can do multiple data entry operators. So when you want to couple them via the local network, I can show that a little bit later on. I hope we've got the time for that. We can split classes for large events, like New Zealand, the championships, the nationals. And you can also do online results there. So supported events are standard things. So you can do your championship events, ribbon trials, and what we call fun days, where you just set up a couple of classes and try to run them by the rules, which is they're very great for practicing software if you never used it before. So that's a great idea, just to create something and then run through it and do things with it. Supported classes, so all the standard classes, of course, jumpers, ABC, starters, novice, intermediate, senior, with AD and ADXA in there. The games, I coded all of them up. Not all of them have been tested to, thoroughly, I would say. They should all work, but they're pretty complicated to set up and do. So, if you ever find something in there which is not 100% as you expected, please let me know. And then we also have novelty classes in there, which is basically everything like tunnelers or so, which is kind of run by the standard rules, but it's not really in the current regulations. We could add more things to it, like JDT, zone events, etc. It's all not in there because I've never had to set these things up or run them. But if you're interested, just let me know, and yeah, I can get things in there. So without further ado, I think we start with how to actually install things. So let me see. I think I have to get out of full screen first here. Yeah, this is great. Sorry, it's just blocking my my taskbar here. Okay. So here we have some Agility website. So you have to log in and go to the admin menu, for which you already have to be an administrator, right? And then to install the software, you can click here on download the FastPawz. And if you do that, you will get here a little executable, which is basically an installer. So if we just open that, I hope it's not going to take too long with this internet connection here. So we just say next. It asks where to install it. So preferably you should use the location that it suggests here. And then basically just click next until it starts installing. And that was it. So basically it's installed now. And you can bring it up. I usually do it by hitting the Windows key and just typing FastPawz. And you can see it's coming up here. All right. So things to note, when it just came up, it was showing version 2.0. Hang on, I just have to organize this with my taskbar a little bit better. Windows, I hate you. Probably has to go like this. So if you're ever unsure about the version, you can go here, help about, right? And it should show you version 2.0. So quickly to demonstrate what happens if I ever do an update. If you get an update or an update is available, you will get it displayed down here. So currently here in the bottom, you can see a green field saying you're running the latest version. So when I create updates, this will change to red and this display warning that you should update to a newer version, which then contain newer rules and regulations. I'm actually, just as we're speaking, trying to get one published so I can demonstrate it. But of course, that probably takes too long. Just give it a moment. Yeah, typical things. So I can't demonstrate that right now. If it does, here under the help menu, you will get an additional menu point for upgrading to the newest version, which you just have to click and then follow the installer again. Right? And maybe it will be finished by the time I'm finishing that, so I can maybe show it at the end. All right. So how to create an event? So we have to start here at the web page, right? So you do the usual things which you also would have done with the other AEM software. Set up an event, do all your dog and person maintenance if you ever need here. Then we go here to event manage. So I selected here the ribbon event, which we're going to hold soon. Right? So you basically set up your show just the way you would have done previously. And then, you know, you select online entries on or off. So basically, you know, let people enter here. Or at a ribbon trial, you may also enter competitors yourself via here this entry admin part, right? So you could add an entry this way here. And the most important thing is you basically want to enter everyone to go into show in here and sort out the entries which have not paid for the show or the ribbon trial in here before you start exporting data to FastPawz. So in here, you know, you would finally go to select the non-paid ones and then delete them one by one until they're all gone from here. And once you've done that, then it comes some more interesting part, and that is you have to download the raw data, which you do via these buttons here. So download to AEM. So in here you say classes download, people download, docs download, and entries download. And whenever you click one of these, it will start downloading here things like agility classes, CSV, or people CSV, and so on. So in the end, you're going to end up with 4 files, right, which contains all your raw data which you're going to need. I've already done that. So I placed them here in this folder. All right, so you get these 4 CSV files. And now we can go over to FastPawz and start importing that data. So to create a new event in here, you just click on the new button on the top left. Usually you just keep in here what's selected unless you want to do a fun day. Now it's coming up that we have the upgrade. I said I'll do that later. So in here we have the current version is AEM 6.07. So just keep that as is. And now you have to find the data location for these files, right? So if I just navigate to these here, just make sure that when you click on these things, so I just clicked on the classes file. So I have to select the classes in here. Once you do it, it tries to find the other files in the same location. So just before you say commit here, just make sure that, you know, classes corresponds to classes, docs to docs, entries to entries, people to people. So let's just do that. Now in here, it's just says there's an unknown AEM version, which is just because the data I'm trying to import is a little bit older, which is fine. Just whenever a warning pops up, it's a good idea to you know, read through it and actually figure out, is this going to be a problem or not? In this case, it's probably not. All right, so it's importing all the data from these files. And now we can say finish. So this basically has imported all the raw data into the software. And now the first thing you should definitely do is just save it. So we can go under File, Save As, and just you know, give it a name, my show or whatever. Right? I should say it's just all the data is kept in one file, and you can have as many files as you need. I know some people have run ribbon trials and champ shows at the same weekend, and for them it is quite important to, you know, be able to quickly switch between the two of them. And yeah, that's not a problem in here. Right. Just let me check my list here. Yes. So before I go on showing more details, one of the important things is, you know, just for safety, it's backups, right? So if I scroll down this window here to the bottom, you can see here that it's set up to do automatic backups. So I have, where's my folder? So I have just saved this in this folder here. You can see it's called My Show. And, you know, if I want to make a backup of the current data, just, you know, to have a safe point to go back to if something goes wrong, you can click this button here, and it has created a new file in here, which it gives you a timestamp. So you know, it does this every 10 minutes automatically. So if anything goes wrong, you have to go back into this folder, find this file, rename it as my show recovery or something like this, and then just open that and continue working from there. Another thing is, if you don't want to back it up in the same data location, I quite often want to back up onto say a USB stick. So in case my computer really crashes and goes down, and I have a spare one, I can grab that stick and just transfer the data in there. If you want to do that, you just unclick for automatic backups, click it again, and then it asks you basically which location you want to select to do the backups in. So here you could now select a USB memory stick. All right. And it's also a good idea from time to time to push the save button at stages when you think everything is correct after entering a lot of data or so, just to make sure if anything goes ever to Tatas, you have a good point to come back to. Now the next thing I want to mention before going to details is here's a help button, right? So this is basically a mini manual which gives a couple of overviews for newbies what to do, and a couple of hints what to look for. Right. What's my next thing here? Yeah. So the software is basically organized in these tabs, right? So you have here the event tab, which basically is contains the overarching data for the whole show, like the name of the club and other kind of things. The next tab in here is the status. So this basically shows you all the classes and what status they're currently in. So at the moment, they're all in the setup phase. And then later on, they will go to the assign splits, assign order, assign item, set course, etc. Phases until basically the last phase is when they have all finished. So this gives you an overview about which classes have not run yet. Right? Yeah, we have a network tab, so which we can show later on how to connect two computers together, so two people can do data entry simultaneously. And then you have all these different classes tabs for your intermediate jumpers and whatnot. And since there's going to be quite a lot of them, to go to the one switch on the right side, or so you can see these two buttons here on the top, so you can click to go where to navigate. Another thing I just want to mention, because it has also had people had some issues with before, is down here with Zoom. Right? Sometimes it's quite nice to make things larger on some laptop screens, or if it's a high resolution laptop screen, sometimes it's too tiny to see the font. So if you want to do that, you just go here on the zoom and just you can make it quite large then. So this can be helpful, just to get things going. Right. There was one thing left in here. One thing left in the around the general use of the software is something I have to mention is there are some printing issues, unfortunately, which they are quite easy to resolve, but you have to know how to do them. So the underlying problem there is that the software libraries I have written the software in have a little bug in the printing routines. And under Windows, this can result in, when you look at your certificates and scribe sheets and everything, they are quite distorted. I think I've already put it in this one here. So if hang on, I have to get it there. So if you go up here under settings, default printer, you get different options. So we have a system PDF printer, a system default printer, or PDF writer. Right? So just to demonstrate what happens if things go wrong, in my case, things go wrong when I use the system default printer. So if I now try to print scribe sheets, hang on a moment. Yeah, if I want to print scribe sheets now, you see they are basically set up wrong. So this basically is it looks like it's by default what's it called, a portrait layout. This is just one of the minor things would look wrong. Some of them, the certificates, etc., look quite faulty if you want to print them. So the reason why I had to keep these 3 different printer options in there is on every system, it's going to be slightly different what you need to use. So sometimes the system default printer works okay. So this is, your whatever printer you said is my Windows default printer. On most systems here, this option system PDF printer will work fine. So if I now switch over to this and try to do the blank scribe sheets, you see now it's all set up correctly. It's got the right orientation and everything. So this one will work for most of them. But just in case something goes really wrong and this thing also doesn't work for it, then you can try this PDF writer, which should work in any case, but has a slight disadvantage. So if you, so I'm just trying to fiddle with this window here. If you now want to, this is a print preview. If you want to now press the print button, it will, instead of going to a printer, it will save it to a PDF file, which you will then have to manually open and print, right? So it's a little bit of an annoying thing, but it will always work, right? But I said in our case, it will work fine with the system PDF printer. So I'm going to select this one for the rest of this thing. Huh? All right, this is that. All right, so now we have basically imported the basic event. It's the software itself is set up. So we can now start editing this event and setting it up correctly. So the first thing you should usually do is start with editing the event itself. You can see this little button here, and it has a little log on the side. So if whenever you see a log in here, it means you have to push it to unlock things so you can start editing. Right? So in this case here, you can see things start highlighting in a reddish background, and these are basically the things you can make changes. Right? So the first thing here, we're going to start select an image for the club logo. So if you click on here, you basically get a selection list of known logos which are already in here. So in our case, we want to scroll down and use Rotorua Dog Training Club logo. So we can use this one here. If your logo is not in the list, you can instead select. Actually, I'm not sure about. Yeah, if you make it this blank and say okay, you'll get the opportunity to select a file instead. I just want to use this one here first. I'm going to show the other one in a moment. So Rotorua Dog Training Club. Huh? So similar thing down here now. If you have a sponsor, you can select an image here. So I said if we leave these things blank, you get the opportunity to navigate to a file. In this case here, I just downloaded a file with something which looks like a sponsor logo. And again, a sponsor logo is not really needed. So if you leave it blank, that's also fine. Huh? Up here, usually you should not change the show type. These things are all loaded from the raw data. For purposes of identifying this show, I just gave it an incredibly high show ID. Usually you should not muck with that at all because it's needed to identify the show later on in the database. Huh? What you're going to need here is is useful is the show secretary signature. Right, so again, you just type the name of the show secretary, and then you get the opportunity to load a signature in here. These things are nice just for for certificates like challenge certificates and ADXA certificates, which require a signature, right? If you don't upload a signature to it, then and leave it blank, that's also fine. But then you have to manually sign these certificates after you printed them. Right? Down here is a show official. So this was basically something which was required to during COVID, when you only get a limited number of people who were allowed to attend. It's still nice to do it. You can put in here scribes, John Doe or something like this, and these things will be listed in the catalog. And it also looks that the show officials. It basically adds towards the number of people in the show, so it can look if the people are already entered as handlers or so, and just calculate the total number of people. I hope it will not be needed anymore. That we're doing well over COVID by now, but you never know. All right, so once you are happy with this one here, you just put the log back on, and you see all the. It goes back to gray again, indicating that everything is fine in here. All right, let's go over a couple of things. No, actually, we go over these things later when we actually have entered in a little bit of data. Right? So the next thing you have to do in here is to set up the individual classes. No, let's go back before I do that, before I forget it. So for in here's a class information. You see a lot of information about the dogs and handlers. The dogs and handlers are here in the databases in the top menu. So if you ever have to edit a person, I really don't think you can do it actually in here. Because this comes straight from the Agility website database. However, sometimes you have to edit a dog slightly, right? So in here you can just bring this up. Sometimes you have to edit a dog because just prior to your show it has changed the height category, or something has happened to it. So if you ever have to edit the dog, the same thing goes here. So you can unlock the table. Then it's quite a useful idea to sort these things by agility ID, right? So you can also sort them by pet name or whatever, but usually you want to go by the agility ID. And then you go down to whatever dog you want to edit and say this thing suddenly is a Shetland horse, just to make something up, right? You can edit it in here, and once you're done with it, you just log the database again. So just to be clear, this will not change the actual entry of the or data of the dog in the official agility database. It's just in here so you can prepare your show. If possible, do not use this feature, right? So download your data just when you do the show catalog, or just on the day of when running the show, so you're up to date on it. Right? Another thing which might pop up is actually adding a dog, just on a ribbon trial, which you have to do here. Right? So you see it will get a temporary ID because it's not in the official database. And then again here, you give it a number, something like this. Let's make something really fake. And then, you select its category. It's going to be 320, give it a pet name, and so on. And over here at the moment, it says it's an invalid owner. So in here, you really have to put someone in. So either you select someone from the database, right, which already exists in here, or again, you can type in another owner, which of course it will warn you about, but you just say yes, and then it's fine, right? And then you can lock this thing again and get out of here, right? Right. With that said, now we can put our focus on the classes. So in here, you can see basically on how the things are organized. So in here on the left-hand side are actions. and you have basically the status of the class. So currently this class is in the setup phase, and depending on the phase you're in, you can perform different actions on it. So to switch between phases, you can use the plus button to go, just go to the next one, right? Or you can, the minus button to go back, or you can just quick jump into it, but I usually use the buttons in here, right? So under the setup phase, you can do things like adding a run to it. So if you do that, just say add J1 to 6 to in here, right? And you'll be giving opportunity to enter a handler name. Whenever there is a handler name, if you leave it blank, it assumes that the owner will run it. So we don't enter anything here now, right? So we just added the dog to it. If you want to, for any reasons, delete a dog from it, the easiest way is probably to search it by its agility ID. So like here, P131. Right? And once you start selecting it here, just by clicking one of the boxes in the row associated with this dog, then you can say delete this run, right? And then sorry. If you say delete a run, you get the selection of who's actually in there. Alternatively, if you click on that little bar here on the side, so you highlight the complete row, or you will click in the bar and keep pushing the control button, you can select more than one of them. If you do that, then sorry, just one sec. Chainsaw going on. You can select multiple runs and delete all of them in one go. So you click here, it warns you about it, we say yes, and they're gone out of it. All right. Sometimes it's useful to delete a whole class, usually on a fun day or something like this, but usually you never push that button here. Then in here we have things like the official class names. So this is basically what came from the raw data. You can give it a nice display name. So if it's if it's a tunnelers or anything like this, then the class name would be novelty. But the display name you could call tunnelers, for example. Right? Next thing down in here is the class ID. Again, this is not something you should muck with. Right? Because this is a championship and because this is intermediate, you have the option to select it if it is also the ADXA run of that. And here you can change things like the date. Sometimes it's useful for a fun day to do this manually. Next, we have the ring and the ring order. So if you're running four rings, then you could say this is ring number 4, and this is going to be the third event running in this ring. And that's just nice. In the catalog data, which I'll show you later on, it can use this data basically to make a nice table with the ring orders in there, and also for a couple other things. Right? Further down here is the judge. So it's a very similar thing. If you want to change the judge, here's a list of people for whom we have signatures already in there. All right, so if you do that, just select Graham Lawson, and then it loads the signature in the background, which let's just change to the next one here. You see it has identified a little saved signature for your judge. Same thing as before. If your judge is not in this list, you just make it John Doe or whatever, type the name in here, say okay, and again you get this opportunity now to load a signature for the judge. But if you don't have a signature for the judge, you can also cancel this one here. Then it remains John Doe, but further on, when you print the certificates, you have to give them to the judge after that, so they can sign it manually. Last not least, you can enter a price per run, which is not that super useful. It's more like for a ribbon trial. you could enter it, and then when you can also enter dogs in bulk in here, which I should show you later on. Then it would be, could calculate how much the whole thing is going to cost. But as I said, that's not so super useful in here. Finally, there's a levy per run. This is just something in the regulations, so you don't get to enter that one here. Right, so this is basically the setup phase. So once you've done your actions in here, you just go on to the next phase here. So we click the button, and the next phase is to assign the splits, which is of course something you really have to do. Right? You can do this by just clicking here on the button. It says, doing these things will change. Particularly, if the catalog has already been published, etc. So you just want to be really aware of it, right? Do you want to do it? In this case, yes. All right. And then up here, you can see now it's reorganizing the whole thing. And when we go to the next stage here, you see it has created this table here with there's going to be 46 dogs in 600, 48 and 500, and 35 in small. Right? So other things you can do in here is already print the scribe sheets. Right? If you do this, it basically gives you these sheets you can print. It will put some useful information on it. So this is going to be intermediate 1. Our judge is going to be John Doe. The next fields here are basically what the judge has to fill in. So 100 meters or whatever. If judge has to give you a rate of travel or a course time. I always prefer that they actually give the rate of travel and let the software calculate the correct course time. But a lot of them just write down the course time, and I'll show you later on what to do in this case if they give you the course time instead. And after that, you just see it just prints these little scribe sheets. And let me just get to the next page. We just go to page 2. This is annoying. Sorry, just my bar gets into the way, and I don't know how to move this little thing. There's the way I drag it. So just let me do this again. Scribe sheets. Okay. So if I now flick to the next page in this printout, you see it's just all of them scribe sheets. So it will actually calculate the correct number of scribe sheets to print. So if it knows, if it's 60 dogs in this class, then you need 60 scribe sheets plus a little bit extra. So it prints something like a 5% extra plus 1 page or something like this. So just in case, the people taking down the numbers, muck up and throw something out, right? So you get a couple more spares of them, right? And if you want to print that, you just click here on the printer button. And I said, now you can actually select the printer where this screen is going to end up. Yeah, that's the way you do this. Next thing to do after assigning the splits is to assign the orders. Assigning orders. So in here you have to do 2 things. Basically, you have to define a category running order. So which height class runs first. Right? So you do this by either completely randomizing it. So with this first button here. All right. And again, it warns, this will change things from as they were in the catalog. All right. So if you click this, it will just create a random category order like this, and it will ensure that the small dogs are running in one block. If you're not happy with this category order, you can drag them into a different order. For example, I can click on the 500 and drag it up, so it's now behind the smalls and in front of the 600s, or drag them to the top. So, sorry. Lost it here. So drag them to the top. You can also change, the running order within the small class. It's now 320, 380, 240. And if you make a mistake, like running it like this, which is not allowed by the regulations, it will tell you you're not allowed to do this, right? So we just make them one block. So once we're happy with the category running order, we still have to randomize the dogs. So it's not so that they are in a complete random order. So just click on this one here. Again, it wants, this will change things from as they are currently in the catalog, but we say yes. So it will take a moment just because, it has to do its little thing where it spaces all the handlers, handlers with multiple dogs apart. So once it has done that, we can go on to the next action. And now we can actually print the running order. All right, so if we look at this line here, so you can see it's this is what it currently has come up with. And if you flick through the multiple page, different categories, etc. Right? If you want to change the running order, like say you're not happy with you want to put a dog in a different position, say, right? So the easiest way to do this is go back to assign order phase. And then click here on the fix mistakes thing. And now you can see whenever you unlock this thing with fix mistakes, you're allowed to do certain editings here in the directly in the table. So in this case here, if you want to change the running order, say this one here is now so the 68th dog to run. If you want to change this, it's quite often useful to pick the dog first, which you want to put it in front. So let's do this quickly. I just let's say we go into the running order here, and we want to swap the running order of T663 with S650. Right? So the way we would do it is click here, go back to here, then search here for the agility ID T663. Sorry, going up. T663. Sorry, it's my mouse here is a bit sensitive. T663 is here in order 1. So we would write this down. Then we look for the dog which we actually want to swap it with, which was, I've already forgotten it. So I've forgotten it. So let's just say we want to swap it with T628, so which is in order 20. So if we just want to do a switch, then we just go here to the next phase, click and fix mistakes. Sorry, actually we can do it directly here. So we go fix mistakes, make this number 1 now, and this one number 20. And if we do this, they should have been swapped, right? If you just want to squeeze it between other dogs, you can also do this. For example, let's assume we keep the order like it is now, but we want to squeeze in T628 after T663. So this one here is currently in position 20. To squeeze it in behind, instead of changing all orders which come after it, we just make it say 20.5, which would be between 20 and 21. All right. So if we do it like this, then go to the next thing here, go print running order, and now you can see T663 is here, and it has been located after T628 storm. Right, so it has been moved to this position here, and that's basically how you would do your running orders in here. There is, as said, as with these other print thingies, there's sometimes a little bit of a thing you have to keep in mind. So if I want to print these running orders now, I think my printer here is not allowed to do A3. Right, so if this is again one of these Windows things where it doesn't give you the options. Fast. Somewhere in here, how can I change the modes? That used more settings. That's what I'm after. So for the running orders at the moment, they would be set to A4, right? But here advanced. Yeah, is set to A4, and now we can also select other paper formats in here. But unfortunately, since Windows takes it directly from here, you cannot print them to A3. If you want to print them to A3 instead, you have to go out of here, go under Event, and then go Running Orders here. It just gives you a warning that most of these classes are not in the correct state yet. And now here you can save them through a PDF, and from memory that should be set up in A3. Right? It's a little bit complicated, but I actually ended up most of the time just printing them in A4. Just not that important to have them in A3. Yeah, just too much to say to the running orders, right? So after we've done the running order here, we can move on to the assign items. So in here, basically, we want to do your ribbon and price allocation. You see over here, you can either directly enter that in the allocation tables. So if you want to allocate ribbons in the 600s up to place 5, you would put it in like this. Most of the time, we just want to do it to 10% ribbons and 5% prizes. So we just click on this button here, and it basically automatically calculates how much it should be. So after that, you just have to check, how many, if this is how you want it to be. Right? So after we've done that, we move on to the next phase, which is the set course. Right? And this is basically the finish of your first phase, right? So the first phase is basically just setting up the classes, which in case of a ribbon trial, you have to do on the day. But if you run a championship, then you of course do this before a couple of days before you actually publish the catalog, etc. So if you want to publish a catalog, your first task is to go through all of these classes here and just do exactly the same thing that we've done with this example here with the intermediate one. So basically move it through all of the phases until you reach the set course phase. Right? So let's just pause here for a moment. So if we now go back to the status, you can see it's basically intermediate one has been set up correctly, right? So to this phase here, and now we would move on with intermediate 2, jumpers A, and etc., and get them all to this first set course green phase kind of thing. Right? Once we've done that and have all of them there, we can actually go back here to the event tab and do other things with it. One of the things I've already showed you would be the running order you can print from here, but you can also do other things in here now. So, for example, for your show preparation, you may want to print some blank scribe sheets, just in case the scribes run out. So these blank scribe sheets is just, these little things don't have a title or a judge on it, so you can use them for any class. Running order I've already shown you can print from here. You can print labels for the rings after you set up each ring. You're giving it the ring number and the ring order. If you click here, you can basically print these. In this case, since we have not set up all the classes correctly yet, it just lumps all these things together, saying ring 1, which of course doesn't make sense, right? But I think I've put this one here in ring 4. We've already done our intermediate one with Joan Doe, so this is set up correctly, right? So you can print these things out and just tag them to ring. We are going to have a ribbon allocation. Again, it warns you it's not set up there yet, so it's going to be incomplete. But things are basically the ones we've done for intermediate so far. You can see here intermediate 1 has 46 dogs in the 600, and we allocated it ribbons to place 5. So once you've set up all the other events accordingly, you can use this sheet here to work out and send to your ribbon manufacturer. So they can create the ribbons for you. Similar, we have the price allocation. So here it basically tells you we have prices down to third place for intermediate one. And again, these things are quite nice if you want to figure out if you want to go to the bank and get, $20 for first, 10 for second, and 15 for third, or so to work out how much money you need and how in which denomination or notes you want to have it. Here we also have price envelopes. So again, I have to think about why it's doing this now. Yeah, price envelopes can be a bit tricky sometimes, because in this case here now it wants to go to the PDF, which is wrong. In my case, I actually would like this to go to the system default printer, and then tell it. You see now it recognizes that this printer can actually print envelopes in the format DL or so probably, or it's a Monarch or whatever. So if you want to print envelopes, just be careful and test it first, as you're just going to print a lot of rubbish on them. I think in this case here, if I go to more settings, advanced, and then change it here, it gives you the envelope option. So just make sure you do this correctly when printing, and if in doubt, just print a test envelope first with not just printing one page of this thing before printing 60 envelopes on the wrong paper size. Let's go back to this one here again. All right. Last not least, on this page here is your catalog. So if you push this one here, it basically the first part in here is just things you should create yourself in a Word document. What's a club logo, what is street address, camping information, all these things. And afterwards here basically it starts with the actual data which you can copy and paste into your Word document. So in this case here, the show officials, so the judges, it grabs automatically from the classes. And then in here we have the scribe, which I put in with John Doe guy, and the secretary has been fed to me. And then in here we have the ring order. And again, this table would be correctly set up if we would have done set up one more all the classes, not just intermediate one. And after this, in here you would put your general information, health and safety, COVID restrictions, whatever. And then down here, this is where things again start become interesting. So there's your ribbon allocation, your price allocation, your running orders. So all this data, which has to go in the catalog. And of course, and further towards the end, the list of dogs in the show. And last things is the list of persons in the show, which again, was important for COVID. Right? So if you set up all classes accordingly, you can best thing probably do is either save it to a file. This will be an HTML file, which you can directly open with Word then, or you can copy it to the clipboard and just paste everything into a blank Word document. And as I said, then you use Word to finish your first two important pages of your catalog before publishing it. And also, of course, we're going to have a levy summary because you have to pay the Agility community the levies. And again, it's worked out in here how much to pay. So it's for 85 cents per run. So NVN, that's the money you have to send over to the Agility committee. All right, so this is basically, once you've done that, you've basically set up your classes, you created your catalog, you printed your, all your auxiliary stuff, your printing. Sorry, so one thing I didn't mention is the price labels. So this basically gives you the chance to print labels on Avery, label paper for making stickers, which is quite nice to put on prices, etc. Right? We said that now it's basically we've done all our preparation work for the show. So now we run the show. We have all these classes in this set course phase, and now basically the class starts running, which means you get your little scribe sheet back from the judge, and the judge says my course length is 120 meters, right? And then you have to enter the rate of travel, right? So the regulations basically specify the boundaries or limits for the rate of travel for different classes, right? So for some of them, the rate of travel is exact, so it must be exact 3 meters per second or so. Or for other classes, it gives you a range, so it has to be at least 2.75, but maybe faster than that. Or it must be between 2.75 and 3.75 or something like this. So the easiest way is to enter the rate of travel directly, right? So you can make this 3.5 meters per second. And then everything would be fine. If the judge gives you already calculates the rate of travel, then you have to click down here and basically do the backwards calculation to get your rate of travel. So if he said it's it's going to be like 50 seconds, right? Then it's this was something wrong, wasn't it? And something has just gone wrong. This was working before. Oh, yeah. Let's say he's giving you 50 seconds here. Yeah, I think what happened is it's automatically sets it to the minimum regulations. If I would enter 50 seconds here, it would be too slow. So here you see with 2.75, it would be 44 seconds, right? So if the judge says it's going to be 50 seconds, he would be out of the regulations. So it goes basically back to the regulations, right? If the judge would say it's going to be 30 seconds, which would be faster, which would be allowed here, then you see it calculates the rate of travel as 4 meters per second and says everything is fine. And I said, if you try to enter something outside the regulations, it will warn you in this case about it, right? So you have to be within the regulations to proceed. Right? Also, if you try something like this 2 meters per second, if you try to now to go to the next phase, it says you it's invalid and you have to do it right before progressing, right? So this just ensures that nothing which is really outside the regulation gets into the system. Right? So it's just going to leave it here at 3 meters per second in this case. So with that done, we can go to the next phase, which is actually entering results. So the class is running or has been running, and the scribe sheets are coming back to you. So the thing to do it in here is to basically you want to do results processing. So if you bring this one up, this is basically the box you're going to work most of the time with. So in here, you can start entering agility IDs for the dogs, and it will try to auto-complete it a little bit to give you a suggestion what's actually who's actually in the class, right? So if I say T6, start typing T6, then it suggests a couple more and so on. So now it basically says there's a T6 to 8 in here. Then we press the tab key, give it a recorded time, say it has done 40 seconds, right? And maybe it had 5 faults, and it was here. It prints actually now the handler. So if it has been handled by the owner, it would print the owner in here. If it left the handler blank before, it also defaults back to the owner. But here's a good stage actually to see on the scribe sheets there was a change of handler. So this was again handled by this magical John Doe kind of thing, right? And once you've done that, you just click OK, and it goes on to the next. So you can immediately enter the next one, say U07, something like this. Say this one has a recorded time of 50 seconds and 5 faults, and you just keep entering like this. do another T. So this one here say this one say it has is clear. Then you instead of you have to record a time for clear, say 25 seconds, and then you can instead of click either you just click OK, or you can yeah, sorry, that was actually what I wanted to say. Or what else can we do in here? If we want to disqualify one, we can click here on the button below, or we can just, as a shortcut would be to press either Alt-D or enter a D in here. Just try that. So that it is accepted, and down here in the table, you actually can see it has been changed to disqualified here. It also does a couple of things like if you say want to disqualify, but you give it a recorded time, right? So we just entered a time, but now we want to disqualify it. It says you're not allowed to do so, right? So basically, if you want to disqualify, you have to leave the recorded time and false blank, right? So if we just do a couple more in here to have something to go with, 38 seconds, 5 false. Yeah, this one you see I've already entered before. So if I made a mistake, I can correct it in the table later on, as I will show you. If not, we just autocomplete is not working now. Can we? I'm just searching for another dog I can enter. So just can't do that, and have a look at the table. Just get some suggestions of another one in here. U645, which we're going to give 35 seconds, no false, and maybe U663. 28 seconds, no false, something like this, right? And that way we're just going to enter all our runs in here until we're finished. And you see now these things basically in the table down here, things have changed. So the if there's a run change, it's changed from not run to completed. We have the times in here, recorded false, time fields, and so on. And as we go, it also keeps updating the placing. So if we want to sort by placing instead, so here, if we sort this table by placing, you see these two are now in the first positions, but of course, they are in different categories, right? And so on. Dogs which are D get a D, and so on. Hang on. That's not right. And R in here just stands for not run, and you can also have an S in here for scratched. Right? So yeah, this is basically the phase of putting in dogs in. If you make a mistake, and mistakes do happen, the best thing always to do is save before you do the next step. So just push the save button, then click on fix mistakes, and again now it allows you to edit certain things in this table here. Most of the things at this stage you're not interested in changing. You could change things like the handler name if you've forgotten to do it, right? So again, if this was handled by John Doe instead, you can put it in here. You can change the run state. For example, if someone has already completed, but now you made a mistake, want to put it back or something like this, you can change this back into something else. In this case, I just want to put it to completed, which completely screwed up the thing because it changed the placing. Where we here, this one was the one I was just editing. Now you can put things in here like a corrected time, 35 or something. Again, this changed the placing because I'm sorting by it at the moment, which is probably not a good idea. And you can also change the false, etc. Right? once you finish that you just unclick the fix mistakes, and you're back to normal kind of thing. There's a little warning I have to give here. I have managed to crash this program once or twice by changing something in here. But it was such a rare case, I can't actually properly debug it. Right? So that's why I say, before you do something in this table here, please push the save button before you do it, just in case that happens again. I'll do my very best to get that fixed, but it's hard to get out of it kind of thing. Yeah, and then do not be too much afraid about it. You always have the backups anyway to fall back on. Right? Yeah, so basically now we entered all the running dogs, we've entered the times, falls, etc. So once we've done this, we basically get on to the next stage, which is this closed, right? The closed stage is just a holding place in here. I'll show you why I have it in a moment. After the closed phase, we can move on to the finished phase, which is basically now we think the whole class has finished. So we can start printing results and certificates, but it is a really good practice before you start printing to actually do checks and look for mistakes. Right? So most common ones you can find by just printing results. Click on this one here, and then zoom in a little bit to actually. This is just another visual thing going wrong in here. So you zoom in a little bit and just look at the placings now. And what I do usually at this stage, I just have my scribe sheets in front of me, and I sort them basically in the splits. So if it's three-way split, I sort the scribe sheets into different splits, like 500, 600, and small. And then for each split category, I again sort all the scribe sheets into clear, some of them the false and the disqualified ones. And once I've done that, I sort the clears and sometimes also the false ones the false, to make sure that I got them in the right order. So you sort the clear by time, right? So you know with your scribe sheets who's first, second, third, and so on. And if the results from your scribe sheets do not reflect what's here in the results, then you probably have to go back one step and fix a mistake, and come back here and do it again. So let's say for our case here that say what we're going to do, U663 maybe did not have 28 seconds but had 38. Right, so we wanted to correct that. So we just cancel out of here, go back this one stage to the closed stage, say fix mistakes, sort by agility ID. So we want to go down to U663. I hope my mouse gets this right. 66. That was not the number. U663 something. Yeah, that's the one. So this is the dog in question. So say the scribe sheet said it had 38 seconds instead of 28. So we're just going to change it here to 38. And then we go back to the finished stage and do the same thing again. So I have another look at the results here. And now we see it's, the time has been updated in here, and the placing has been updated from first to second place now. So in this case here, because I did not enter the data for all of these other dogs, they're all put in here as not run, which is fine. For the demonstration purpose, we don't have to do that. Other things to note in here is, after the placing here is you get these letters, so it's CRP. So C means they will get a clear round certificate. So if the owner has stated, in the database that they don't want clear round certificates printed, then this thing will not have a C here, even even if it is first place. So just catch that out, because if it's not that when you sort your ribbons and everything, that clear round certificate might be missing. Right? Also, it has an R here, so if this one will get a ribbon. and it's got a P here, so it will also get a price, right? So you can use this sheet basically to get your stuff sorted after the thing has run. Huh? And you want to look through all the height categories in here. So this is intermediate one 600. You can use the arrow up here, you know, to flick to the other pages. So this one is a 500, and finally here's the small. Huh? But once you've done all your checks and everything is matching up, you just click here on the print button, select your printer, make sure it's got the right paper loaded and everything in there, and then just print it and put it on the wall and etc. Yeah, keep it for your records or whatever you need here. Oh, what did I just do? Click the wrong button. Okay, so this is printing of the results pages. Similar, if you want to print your certificates, they're going to be here, right? So in this case here, it's we see it's set up to print on A5. As said, if it ever shows distortions or etc. on it, you have to change the printer type in the menu before you do it. In here on the right-hand side is the sponsor logo. So if there's no sponsor, this will be left blank. And apart from that, usually all you have to do in here is just the print button, make sure it goes to the right printer, which is loaded with A5 paper, and print it out. With the new things, the intermediate has sometimes as ADXA. Let's just go back to the setup phase and pretend now that it also has ADXA. So we switch here and we go back to the finished stage. In this case, if you now click on print certificates, it will give you a selection, because now you can actually select if you want to print say clear rounds or the ADXA certificates. So the ADXA certificates, of course, as they come with you have to order the blanks from the Agility committee from printing there. So this is basically you have to load them into your printer, make sure that they are on the right side and in the correct orientation, and then just print them out, similar as the other ones. Same, of course, with your challenge certificates. Right? And also in here, you see now this one here gets signed by the secretary. And because we loaded my signature in here in the beginning, it does so automatically. If not, you have to sign it. And similarly here, the judge with John Doe did not have the signature, so the judge has to sign the certificate manually later on. If it's a new judge, by the way, like the his signature is not in the system yet, you can always ask him for a signature on a white piece of paper and scan that and send it to me, and I can add it to the collection, which makes it easier for you. And similar, by the way, also about your club logos. If your club logo has changed, just send it to me, and I can get the updated one in here. Just let me check my list where I am at. Yep, pretty much so. Things I also want to mention here at this stage is how to upload the live results. So if you want to upload live results, you have to go. There's my opportunity. If you want to do the live results, you have to first enable them here, which is, I think you have to enable them. I can't see
down the bottom, Peter. Down the bottom left. Bottom left.
Ah, yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. Yeah. So yeah, you have to turn them on here first. Just make them on, right? And once you've done that, you can publish them from here just by pushing that button here. So you can mark them in here as class in progress or results to be confirmed, right? So class in progress is you can actually already upload them from the stage when you enter the results. So if you say you entered the results and you already entered all the 600s, you can already upload the results and mark them as class in progress, right? So you can do this a couple of times. First upload the 600s, then upload the 500s, and so on. But I would always mark them then as class in progress. And if you upload them here from this final page, then I would mark them as results to be confirmed, you know, because after you printed them, put them on the wall, there's always one or two coming up and say, hey, my dog actually, you know, should have gotten a different time or didn't have the fault or whatever, and you have to change them again, right? So these are not the final results. So they will always be marked as either in progress or to be confirmed. And after you basically select what you want to mark them with, you just click that button here, and it will upload them to the web page, right? So I don't want to click that now in order not to potentially screw anything up there, but it's yeah, that's the way how to do them. Yeah, that's mostly it for you know entering all the runs into the classes. If we can go now back to the status, you can see this class is basically now marked as finished. And in the end, you know, you do your show, you do all these things for these other classes here. And in the end of the day or the 2 days, all of these classes should become green. And once you are happy with everything, there's basically one last thing you have to do, and that is to export the results, right? So this button is only available if all classes in the show have reached the finished state, and this is just to prevent, you know, creating garbage which could potentially get into the agility database. Right. So once all your classes have green status here, this button will become enabled. You can click it. You will create a CSV file which you save on disk. And then once you've done that, you just go back on to the Agility website here. And then it's upload results after event. So click that and then just use that to upload that file. Huh? That's pretty much, I think, what I had on my list.
Well done. That was a marathon effort.
Ah, thanks. It's just talking through it.
Talking for an hour and a half, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I can still show the networking and other kind of things, but maybe before we go into that and other things which may or may not you know, work smoothly, are there any questions from your sides first? I would say.
Do we in order for us to be able to download the stuff from Agility Event Manager to make the FastPawz program work, do we have to get permissions from someone to become an admin or whatever?
Yeah, yes. So probably Chris Richardson is handling this at the moment. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, I think up to 2 people per club can be admin for that club, right? So you basically have to let Chris or whoever that currently does know that you will handling the stuff for, you know, whatever your club name is, right? Then you get on, and one you can log on with your normal username and password which you have anyway for this website, and then only then you can actually see this menu here, right? Yeah, and as you can see, these are basically the shows I have been given permissions to be show sec. So I can't do any show in the country, just the ones which I've been given permission for.
Thank you.
Anyone else got questions? All right, then maybe I will try to show the networking, just so we have it on video, because other people have also asked about this before. So if you want to couple 2 computers two or more computers over the internet to just have multiple people entering data on large events. It's pretty simple to do. So can I get this on the left-hand side? Just trying to organize it a little bit. Okay, so basically what you need is two computers have to have FastPawz installed, and they all also need to be on the same version. So this is basically one of the prerequisites for it. And they must also be able to talk to each other over a local network, right? So basically, if most common scenario basically on a show would be that someone has a mobile phone and does Ethernet tethering, right? So they have to enable it on the phone, and both computers connect to the internet over that particular phone, right? So once you've done that, all you have to do is basically have one computer which has FastPawz already running, and it has the show loaded in it here. No, has the show in here. Hang on, what has it done now? Sorry, I'm confused. It just did something unexpected, like as a audit would. Let's go back to our saved one. I must be able to get a second one running. It's just tricky because if that's something you usually would not do, having two applications run on the same machine. And I actually have never tried that before. But I think we got it now. So basically now we have two instances running here, right? So on the main machine, which you've already loaded your show in, you will go to the network page here and say allow connections, right? If you do this, this one might pop up as well. So what it basically does is it tells you which address you can reach this computer, right? The nice thing always when you do this the first time, this Windows firewall will also pop up, right? And communicate on these websites. So you definitely want to say the private networks. I think you do not need to have the public networks enabled here. And then just allow access. I hate this firewall a little bit, so I hope I get it right this time, right? So I think it's definitely private. If you're relaxed about things, you can have both of them text, yeah. But definitely you want to have it on the private networks and say allow access, right? And now in here, you get this long, horrible address name. So one which you're after is the one which looks like this one here on the bottom, right? So that would be 192, 168, 178, 84, and then colon, and then this followed by the port number, right? So on the second machine, which you want to now use to connect to the other, you go to the network page and say connect to a server. And exactly here you have to enter this this number in here. So it's 178, 84, then colon, right? And then the port number is 51666. So you have to, as I said, enter exactly the same thing as this one in here. Click OK. And now the main machine gets a notification that someone wants to connect. And this, of course, if you just should make sure it's a right person, particularly if you're on a public network, and all different kinds of people would be able to connect to it. So in this case, we say yes, and then we say connected to each other, and no. So now this was just shifted the window position, nothing else. So this basically now here on the left-hand side is keeps remaining our server. Here on the right-hand side is the machine which we just use to connect to the server. And on this machine, we can, on both machines, we can start entering data, right? There's a little caveat, or two little caveats to it. So if we go now to intermediate 2 here, which is in the setup phase, so you could see while it was not in the networking phase, you could do things like add runs and delete runs to it. So these are actions which would change the structure of the event, right? Just because it changes the number of dogs in a class, etc. Right? So in networking mode, you're not allowed to perform these actions. If you need to add another run to this class, etc., you would have to disconnect on all machines, do it on the main machine, and then allow sharing after that again, right? So it's just a small thing which will probably not affect anyone. So the second thing in here is when you actually start changing things. So these things are now synced. So if for example, if you now on that machine here, I change the phase from setup to assign splits, you see it changes on both of them, right? So if you just go through orders here, assign items, set course. So here we are now in the sometimes the syncing is not perfect, which is one of the things I hate a little bit. Yeah, just be careful with these things while you do them. Yeah, come over here. Yeah, it's mostly got to do, I think, because these things are on the same machine now, which it doesn't seem to like too much. Can we do that? Yeah, I already feel this thing is getting sluggish. It has some issues now. Here. Okay, let's get it into a phase where I actually want to show it from. Yeah, it's doing too much data transfer, I think here. Let's just close this one for a moment. Actually, I want to keep it open. So let's just disconnect for a moment. Let's go. That's done it. Let's in this one here, in the main one, go to the more interesting phase. So if we go here to item first. Why are you not doing it now? I think it has a data backlog somewhere now. Let's use this one. If we go here to the set course phase. No, it doesn't like it now. As said, we've tried this before, and it really works well with 2 computers. But I just think having the 2 instances on the same computer is not a good idea, probably. So yeah, probably can't show it now. Yeah, if it's fine with you guys. Sorry about that. But the other thing I can still show now is actually how the upgrade process. Since it has actually done it now. So if we So it has now detected, on starting it, it has detected that a newer version is available. So if we want to perform the upgrade, if this little message box comes up, all we have to do is say yes. And it basically gets us back to here to this update manager. And just make sure it's got update component selected. And then just say next, next, update, etc. And it will download new stuff. And then we can set finish here. And now if you bring up the software, you can see it here. It has changed now to version 2.0. To version 2.01, right? So which would include the latest updates. And again, it will display now that it's back on the latest version, kind of thing, right? So making updates is really simple, and you should get notified that one is available for you. Right? Yeah, that's probably what I can show now. Any more questions?
If you update and you've missed a couple of updates, it's okay, isn't it? It'll just skip it'll just update all the different things. So like if I had version 1.89,
yeah,
and we're up to 2.0.1, but there were a couple of versions in between.
Oh yeah, no, it goes straight to the latest one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it's not forced upon you, right? So if if you're sitting on a flaky internet connection or anything, because you're somewhere out in the fields and you don't want to, then just don't do it. Right, so you're not forced to do it. I mean, most of the updates, usually it's, if there's a feature added or something like this. Of course, an update can always contain changes or fixes to mistakes or changes in regulations, right? So you should update as soon as you can, but if out of the field and running the show is more important, just leave it for then. Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually taking the club laptop into our computer guy tomorrow, and my laptop, and he was going to put the Agility, the AEM program onto my computer, onto my laptop, and link the two of them together, so we were all ready to go. Can we still go ahead with that and put FastPawz on as well?
So FastPawz will not interfere in any way with the old AEM software. So
yeah,
you can
because we're
try.
only learning the old AEM software at the moment, so we don't want to race into doing something new when we haven't quite got the other stuff yet.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah, as I said, should not interfere at all. Yeah.
Okay, and my other question is, are you going to put out a user manual?
Yeah, as I said, here under this help button, there are kind of things. Yeah, I'm not really good with writing manuals. I've done a couple in my life. I'm not really good at it. I was hoping that recording this video here would be probably the best way of doing it. So yeah, I'll put this on once I've recorded it and cut it a little bit. I will probably put it on the website.
Okay.
If anyone volunteers on writing a manual, I would be stoked.
I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, then if there are no more questions, yeah, we can end this here. And as I said, any problems, write me an email, get me on Facebook, whatever then. Yeah, I'll try to fix things. If something goes wrong, I'll try to fix them as soon as possible. But I'm on at shows myself most of the time on the weekends. So it's once you're out there, you're on your own kind of thing. But if you find anything by playing around beforehand or so, that's always good if you bring it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, not a problem.
Thank you, Peter. That's awesome. Thank you.
All right, then I see you guys. Yeah. See you around.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Peter.
No worries. Yep. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Peter. Bye.